Hello, beautiful people. How are you today? How are you doing? Welcome back to my channel, Easy Sewing with Ty. So, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for sticking with me despite my absence. I've been so caught up with everything that has been going on around me lately, and I'm looking forward to getting back on track. Okay, now to everyone coming across the channel for the very first time, you're welcome. It's so good to have you here. My name is Taiwo. You will love it here. There are other awesome tutorials on the channel already that you may want to check out. Now, to all new and returning subscribers, cheers to all of you. You all are the MVPs. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all so much. So on the channel today, we'll be drafting a gorgeous handkerchief dress with an off-shoulder upper bodice. So if this is something you're interested in, then I recommend that you keep watching. Please ensure that you subscribe if you're yet to. Put on the post notification, like this video, share, leave a comment for me. Please do so. Thank you. Now let's get started. So before we can start drafting, before we can cut, you need two major measurements, and these two major measurements is constant regardless of if you want to make this as a skirt or if you want to add this to a bodice to make it into a gown. So you need two measurements, and they are: the first one is the length of this handkerchief flare, how long you want it to be, and also the radius. The radius, okay, since it's a flare, you also need the radius. Since I'm working with a gown, I will have to do some calculation to get the length of this flare. So what I have to do is just to subtract the full length of the old dress minus the half length minus the upper bodice. In this case, the full length is 40, and the half length, that is the neck, the shoulder to the true waist, is 15.5. That will give me 24.5. It means the length of this flare, of this handkerchief flare, is 24.5. So I'll be adding 1 inch to it. That's 25.5. So the length that I'll be working with is 25.5. You want to keep that while we work on the radius. Now, to get the radius that is required, then we need to divide the circumference of the place where the flare would be placed on. In this case, which is the waist, we have to divide the circumference of the waist by 6.28. Now, this is standard formula to get your 360-degree flare. So the waist circumference that we're working with is 27. 27 divided by 6.28 is 4.29. I'm going to approximate it to 5. Doing this, it means that I would have enough for my zipper allowance. I know that when I approximate it to 5, I would have enough for my zipper allowance. So you want to take note of that as well. So the radius that we're working with is 5, and the length of the flare is 25.5. Adding that together, we have 30.5. Adding the two measurements together makes it easy when it's time to fold the fabric, because now to cut this, we have to fold our fabric into 4. So now I'll be folding this fabric into 4. I folded it already into 30.5. What that means is that from the very edge, lengthwise it is 30.5, breadthwise it is 30.5, which makes it a square. So I'll be showing you how I folded it using this smaller piece. So if, assuming this is your fabric, you want to fold it into 2 this way, make sure that when you measure it that way, you have 30.5. Then when you have this, you want to go ahead and fold it into 4 again. You want to fold that 2 into another 2. That is, you have folded it into 4, and you want to make sure that that is 30.5 breadthwise also. So you have sort of like a square of 30.5. Now you should have something like this. If you have folded your fabric correctly, you should have that part folded that way. So now to put in the radius, starting from where you have the fabric folded that way, not from the other edge where it is open. Starting from where it is folded, it is doubly fold. Then you want, from that tip where you can see my finger, you want to measure out your radius. Just follow through with what you can see on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out 5 inches like so, all the way. Make sure that this is accurate and your tape measure is not moving or shifting. Just make sure that you are doing this accurately. Just go ahead and measure out 5 inches all the way and connect it like so. And now the next thing to do is to measure out the length. Remember that the length we are working with is 25.5. Now if you have folded your fabric correctly, what you are supposed to have left is supposed to be the same thing as your length, which is 25.5. So I have 25.5 that way, lengthwise, and breadthwise I have 25.5 also. So because this fabric is lightweight, I do not want to continue moving it up and down the table. So I'm going to be showing you the waist using this smaller version. So let's assume that is the radius that has been measured out. So you want to measure out your length that way. Make sure it is correct. Measure it breadth-wise just like I showed you earlier. Now all you have to do is to cut out the radius and leave everything else as it is. So another name for handkerchief flare can be square flare, not circular flare. Okay, so you want to have it your fabric in form of square shaped and not round like your regular circular flare. You know, if you are working with a circular flare, we could have gone ahead to measure the length all round, just like I'm illustrating here. But this time around, for this handkerchief flare, you are not going to do that. You will leave your fabric as it is in a square form this way. All that we are cutting out now is the radius that we have measured out. So now I'll go ahead and cut out the radius. And now the next thing I'll be doing now is to cut open just one side, the place that is going to fall at the center back. So I'm going to detach this from the pin that was used to hold it. This side that has two places on fold, I'll just be picking one side only, then I'll cut through it. That is the place that is going to fall at the center back where the zip would go through. So this particular handkerchief layer would not have a pocket, so it's not going to have any joining at the side. This is the only place that I'll be cutting open. So this place now is going to fall to the center back. The zipper would go through this place. Okay, so I'm done cutting the handkerchief flare. I will open it up now and show you what I have. So this is it. When you open it up, you want to have something like this. You can see how the lower part looks like, how it has uneven ends and the extension and all of that, and it's just so beautiful. So the handkerchief flare is ready. It is ready to be attached to the upper part. Now let's proceed to cutting out the upper area. So you want to have your fabric unfold that way, and remember that the upper bodice that we're working with today is an off shoulder. It is an off shoulder with straps, and because it's an off shoulder with straps, it means my measurement would not be starting from one. Rather, it depends on how low I want this off shoulder to be. So at the end of the day, I want it to be 6 inches off. Okay, so instead of starting my measurement from one, I'll be starting from 5.5 now. And the reason why I'm starting from 5.5 is because I'll be needing half inches to turn this upper bodice with the lining. So I'll be starting all of my measurement from 5.5. Okay, I'll be starting all of my measurement from 5.5. You can see the tape measure. I'm not starting from one, I'm starting for 5.5 because it's an off shoulder. Now placing my 5.5 at the start point that way, I'll go ahead and measure out the chest line. I would mark it across. Then I'll go ahead and measure out the length of the upper bodice, which is the half length, which is 15.5. I'll go ahead and mark it out also. Then I'll be adding half inch to it to join it to the handkerchief flare. So I'll go ahead and put in all those measurements now. I'll roll it across. So this is the chest line and that is the half length. Now on the chest line, I'll go ahead and put in the bust measurement. The bust measurement that we're working with is 34. That is 8.5. I'm going to mark that out. Then what I have left there is 1.5, and that would be the sewing allowance. Then I'm going to move over to the half length measurement and put in the waist measurement. The waist measurement that we're working with is 27. Then I'll mark that out. Then I'll also put in the 1.5 sewing allowance. Once I'm done doing that, I'm just going to connect it together. I'm going to connect the bust measurement to the waist measurement like so. And the next thing to do now is to draw out the armhole curve where we are going to attach the off shoulder sleeve. To do that, you want to know what the shoulder measurement is. The shoulder measurement that we're working with is 15, and that is 7.5 because the fabric is on fold. Now I'm going to subtracting 1 inch from that, so I'll be left with 6.5. So at the upper part that way, where this dress is going to be starting from, I'm going to mark out the 6.5. Okay, then from there I'm going to connect it to the bust measurement, giving it having like a curve, or you can use your armhole curve to achieve this. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out, and after cutting, this is what I have. Now for the back, I have another fabric on fold, and I have 1.5 inches there for the zipper allowance. I have 1.5 inches there for the zipper allowance. So now I'll just go ahead and do the back tightening to prevent the zip from bulging. So at the center back, at the waistline that way, I would be deducting half inch from the center back at the zipper area. Like you can see, that's what I'm cutting off. Then I'm going to replace the half inch at the side, okay, so that there will not be any shortage in the measurement. So this is what I have after doing that. Then I'll go to the armhole and I'm going to cut the exact armhole that I have for the front, because this person is a small size. If you are making for a plus size, then you want to add half inch before you create your armhole curve for the back. Now, like I always say, the front half length is usually longer than the back. And like I explained in my video on how to take accurate body measurements and how to draft a basic bodice, the link to those videos will be in the description box if you want to understand better. But the front half length is usually longer than the back. And in this case, the difference is just 1 inch because the person is of a small size. I mean, the bust is 34. It's actually 33.5, approximated to 34. So I'll be deducting the 1 inch from the back bodice, reducing the length of the back bodice by 1 inch. After doing this, you can see that the side is no longer equal as it should be. Now, to make it equal, all you have to do is to take in the bust dart. But because I'm working with a difference of just 1 inch, I'm just going to go ahead and reduce 1 inch at the side and connect it to the center front this way and just slant it through. If you are working with a larger difference of like 3 inches, 2 inches, 1.5 thereabout, then you want to take in the bust dart. If you watch my video on how to make a basic bodice, how to draft basic bodice rather, then you will know how to take in your bust dart. And if you have been following my tutorials or my previous tutorials, then you know how to take in your bust dart. But I will not be taking in the bust dart today. This is what I will be doing. So this is it. This is what I have at the end of the day. The upper bodice is ready. Now it's time to move to the off shoulder sleeve. So the sleeve in the style inspiration is actually a flare off shoulder sleeve, but because I'm not working with enough fabric, I'll just make mine to be an elastic off shoulder sleeve. So let's get to it. Now fold your fabric into two using your desired sleeve length, and depending on the amount of fabric you have and how full you want it to be after putting the elastic, determine the wideness also. So I've folded my fabric into two. Remember to factor in the 1 inch that you'll be using to create an elastic casing and the 1 inch that you'll be using to turn it at the hem while sewing. Remember to add that to your length, okay? So once you have gotten your desired length and width, you just want to place the upper bodice on it this way to cut out the armhole area on the sleeve as well. Once you have placed it like so, then you just want to go ahead and cut it out. You just want to go ahead and trace it out on the sleeve also, and that is it. Now this is the upper bodice. I'm gonna have to cut out my lining because I'll be adding a lining to this, and I went ahead to cut out long stripe and I folded it, then turn it inside out. You can see the joining. I ironed it to be at the center so that it would not show on the outer part. And as you can see, I have a total of 4 strap. I'll be needing 2 for both sides at the front and 2 for both sides at the back, since it is going to be tied at the shoulder. So you can make it as long as possible, as long as you want, depending on how depending on the design you want to do when you tie it, if you want to make a bow and all of that. And that will be all for today. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you gain value. If all of this is yes, then kindly give it a thumbs up. Don't leave without liking. Share it, okay? Leave a comment for me. Let me know what you think. You can also connect with me on other social media platforms. Is at Easy Sewing with Tyke on Instagram and on Facebook. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to do so. Thank you and see you in my next video. Bye.